welcome to Where Gaming Weekly for the week of March 20th, 2019. My name is Nick, and alongside is my brother, Josh. Say hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
For your information, Where Gaming Weekly can be found on YouTube.com and on podcast services. You can also find more about us at WhereGaming.com, and you can watch us stream live throughout the week on twitch.tv/WhereGaming_. And maybe soon on Stadia. We'll get to that in a second. Also, if you want to be a part of the show, you can write in to weekly@wheregaming.com or tweet us at wheregaming_, because we would love to chat with you. But as always, we're going to get into the who, what, and the where, and by golly, do we have quite a beginning segment. Let's go.
It's almost not worth talking about anything else, but we have a few other items.
Well, the thing that there's a thread here, sort of. Of course, Google Stadia, we're about to get into, is going to be the bulk of today's conversation. But where I want to take it is going to be how it and Xbox are going down the same road. But why don't you teach us about Google Stadia?
So if you didn't know, today, which is Tuesday the 19th, Google unveiled their plans to enter the game sphere. And they announced Google Stadia, and it started off with like video game renditions of walking out of into the light out of a tunnel, and like overhead shots of the Coliseum and like the Olympic stadiums, and they were trying to make a theme of this is like everybody coming together to play.
Yeah, they're
from all over the world. Especially because they were showing like the Olympics and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, their theme was gather around.
But what it really sounds like is an artificial sweetener or a disease. Google Stadia, it is their cloud gaming service. My notes are, so the idea is you can launch it directly from like a YouTube channel. So if you go to they were talking about Ubisoft. You could go and watch like their trailer for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and then in the bottom corner you could say play now. You would just hit that button, and within like 5 seconds, it'll pop up the game right where the game was at. You could just hook up your controller to the browser, and you would just be playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey from the browser. No real minimum PC requirements at all. It just streams from the cloud's data centers. They said you could play on your phones. They were very specific several times throughout the show about Pixels, which, I mean, it's a Google phone.
Yeah.
But repeatedly said Pixel, and I don't see why, or they didn't say more like just the...
They didn't use a broader term like smartphone.
They didn't use a broad term like smartphone. They didn't use a broader term like an Android device.
Well, Pixel is an Android device.
Pixel is an Android device and is their proprietary. But I'm worried that it's going to launch without it's going to be a slow launch on other Android devices even. Because it's not supported on this device until
I don't know. I think you might be reading too much into that because they were just advertising Google specific things.
And that's true. But I just wanted to point
Except
that out.
They did not mention the creator of the lowest end PC they could find. They had talked about we went out deliberately to buy the lowest end PC we could find.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought it was interesting that you didn't see logos or anything of that particular PC.
Yeah, sure. So you can play on your phone, your desktops, tablets. They said Chromecast HDMI, which I guess is their ultra Chromecast. You could but they did say anything that could run Chrome, the browser Chrome. So maybe that negates the Pixel argument I was talking about. But anyway. And you could stream this seamlessly. You could go from your phone to your tablet and just pick up where you left off. All your information would be saved on these data servers, and you would just hop on over and I'm heading out. I'm going to get on the train or whatever, and pull out your phone and just continue playing from there. It'll support mouse and keyboard, all existing controllers, or at least I guess any Bluetooth style controller, and as well as the Google designed a Stadia controller. The special thing about the Stadia controller, I don't know if this is just with the Stadia controller, but we're talking about it during the Stadia controller. The Stadia controller connects via Wi-Fi to the data center, so you're actually like playing on this playing through the data center, and not like through an interface that's telling the data center what to do.
Right.
More like just playing straight to the data center, and you're just getting a video feed on your side. So the Stadia controller connects direct to the data center. It's got a capture button, and like we're used to by now on the PS4 and Xbox. But you can actually stream. You can play in 4K, 60 frames per second, which I'll get to more of those specs in a second. But you could also stream and save your recordings in the same amount, which typically if you're like trying to stream, you're most likely not going to be able to stream in 4K and play in 4K because there's just so much input and output that you're going to lose some. It's going to degrade. But since these data centers are going to be so robust, you would have your own like dedicated like system for you and for the stream. So that was interesting. It also has a Google Assistant button, which was kind of expected, but the functionality is more interesting. Where like if you're stuck in it, they showed being stuck in like Tomb Raider, and like, man, I can't get past this puzzle. You hit the Google Assistant button, and it'll pop up like a little video screen and show you like where you're at, and it'll like show you someone actually doing the puzzle to help you if you're just like bashing your head against the wall and something and you just need help getting through it. So almost like back in the day, you could call up the 1-800 like Nintendo for help in Zelda or something, and but like instantaneous. So that was interesting. It looks like a Pro controller, a Nintendo Pro controller, almost like identical in
except
form
for
factor and
button placement.
well,
it looks like a PS4 controller had a baby with the Pro controller.
Right. They were saying there are 7,500 data nodes locations globally. Just saying that there's going to be a data center near you to help reduce latency and make this more of a feasible undertaking. The Stadia will support initially up to 4K, 60 frames per second, and HDR, and is made to be scalable to the whatever future basically we get, including 8K and 120 frames per second. So it just seems very malleable for future proofing. You can save your streams to full resolution. Talked about that. This is where they started like
getting real technical
and being like, we're not playing around.
Yeah.
They say, your PS4 Pro, it's got 4.2 teraflops. We only heard teraflops from Xbox One, where they're like, hey, you know what? We have 6 teraflops. And Google says 6 teraflops. How about 10.7 teraflops? If you use the Stadia system, basically, your dedicated system would have 10.7 teraflops of, whatever
Teraflops are for.
Teraflops are for. So,
I'm about 50 teraflops. If it was a
all the flops.
Yeah.
Floppity flop flop. Just flopping all over the place.
Just like a dead fish.
Yes.
But more productive.
Right. Stadia will run on the Linux Vulkan system.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what that
I
part
know
was.
what Linux is. But it's basically running off a Linux program. Vulkan's like some kind of engine system. As well as support from Unreal, Unity, and Havoc, and like a couple dozen other, midware kind of.
I saw
programs.
a CryEngine on there.
Yeah. And all this stuff is really technical. You may not be very interested, but they did have ID software from Bethesda, under the Bethesda umbrella. They came out and showed off more Doom Eternal. Well, they didn't really show it off that much, but
no, but
they were. This was Google saying, hey, if id is coming out here showing off this, this very technical, twitchy, high performance game like Doom Eternal running at 4K 60 frames per second, they mean business. And they were like,
Yeah.
we have the support of these guys just to show not only us that we can do it, but you guys and the other developers that this is something that's just this isn't like blowing smoke. So they did say something about like dedicated servers, but I was a little confused about that, and I'm sure they're going to detail more later. They did say also that they would fully support cross-platform play progression and save as developers or platform holders would support. So a couple other like developer specific programs, State Share.
Well, that was State Share.
No, State Share wasn't. Style Transfer ML, which is a machine learning program. Stream Connect.
Oh, well, the style transfer ML is a really interesting thing that, like, the way they described it, and I'm sure the way that it'll be in use would probably be more specific than this, but they had a 3D rendering of just this, gray man walking through a little town, and they could take an image like Starry Night, or
a reference image.
A reference image, and put that into the rendering, and all of a sudden all the colors and style from that image becomes placed in the world.
Right.
And the idea, I think, based off what the Tequila Works lady came on and said, was that like she was talking about how much style and how much time is put into creating style in their games, that creating something like this completely shrinks that time.
If you could develop a concept like a palette and be able to like just apply it overall throughout the game instead of like individually having to create these shades and things like that. If this style transfer can just be applied, then you can just turn a couple knobs.
Yeah.
And then maybe it'll do exactly what you want it to do, cutting down on development time.
Yeah.
And money. So, again, very developer centric, but this is at the Game Developers Conference. So, there you go. State Share was
that part. It was interesting, but also, like, I don't know how cool it really is. So explain it, and then we'll talk about it.
Well, I think State Share could be more than how they pitched it, but it was really pitched as like almost like just a leaderboard, kind of like score beating kind of thing. Like you're playing a game that requires Twitch movements or play, or you're racking up a certain amount of points, and you can just hit this button or hit this State Share and be like, all right, anybody can come in and play at where I'm at in this level with the exact same loadout, exact same health bar or whatever, and see if they can do better than I can. And this was how it was like pitched. I think there's probably more to that, but basically it's just putting out like this snapshot of a game out
and letting you play
letting you play this little window of a game to try to beat the score for somebody. I don't know how interesting that could be, considering you can just like play any games that are going to be where you're trying to compete like that are going to have leaderboards anyway.
Yeah.
It might be interesting, like if you're a Twitch streamer and you're playing a specific game and your chat's really reacting to a particular scene that you're playing through or something, maybe you could snapshot that and be like, hey, you all can go and play this scene, and if you enjoy this part of the game, maybe you want to go out and buy it, and that might be that might be a way for developers to do demos.
Right. That was the thing that I got out of it, was like, well, this would be a good way to demo the game. And what you just said made me think of
just now thinking about that. Yeah. So people talk about when they have to make in the industry, when they have to create these demos, typically they have to like spend a whole lot of extra time working on a demo that's really not going to be in the final game, and it just wastes time and resources, pulling people away from completing the game to create this side like chunk of the game so people could play it and get an idea of what they're getting into, which is important because people want to know what they're buying, but it also just takes away from the actual development.
And they already
of the
have
game.
the marketing by having the Twitch streamers or content creators play the game. And it's like, oh, there's this window of time I played on Apex Legends or whatever game it would be. And here, why don't you give it a shot and see how, I guess Apex Legends probably couldn't do it, but you know what I mean. So what we just came up with makes it sound pretty cool.
Yeah.
It all, like if we were doing a Twitch stream or YouTube stream or whatever, and if
probably
we had
probably not Twitch supported.
Yeah, probably not. But if we were doing something and then we were playing Tetris Effect, and we wanted to see if anyone else could do it better than us, you could even like start a giveaway. Like, okay, if you do this by 9:00 while we're streaming, we'll give away code or something.
Yeah.
Like you could just really
Or,
develop it.
like, man, I just had a like really, you use the excuse. Well, I just had a poor. This was I had poor bad luck in this round. That's why you.
It's
won.
like I didn't have
Well,
the thing.
well, hit your state share and let me try. If I could beat it, then you just suck.
Yeah.
But
Ooh. Anyway, I just had a thought.
But anyway, so to finish out basically what they were talking about, they did announce that they've created a first-party developer development studio called Stadia Games and Entertainment, led by.
Why can't it just be called Stadia Studios? Come on, it's not that hard. It's not that hard, and
No.
it's Stiga.
Stage.
Stage. There we go. There you go. This is this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone needs to work with them.
I'll be your marketing stage. Just hit me up.
Yeah.
All right. So that's being led by industry veteran Jade Raymond.
Raymond.
Yeah.
Yeah. I pulled up her.
I said the name,
creds.
and I was just like, that.
As soon as you say it, it's like it's one of those
Is that
things.
right? Yeah.
I pulled up her creds just so you know what she's done. So this part of it, I'm not quite so sure how accurate it is. A few websites have reported that she was recently selected as vice president of Google, and that sounded a little too extreme. What I thought it was like she was vice president of the Google gaming section, but what we know now for sure, at least, is that she's going to be leading Stage, and then she most notably has created the studios Motive and Ubisoft Toronto. Working as executive producer on games like Assassin's Creed 2, which, by the way, first game I ever platinum, Watch Dogs, and Splinter Cell Blacklist. So and so she's been with EA, she's been with Ubisoft, and so she's now, when I heard that she was making this move, I'm like, if she thinks it's worth moving for, then
yeah. So
yeah.
To learn more, you can go to Stadia.com and sign up for notify me when things are happening kind of deals. And they did confirm it will launch at some point in 2019.
Wow. So definitely recommend going and watching the press conference.
Yeah.
For some context, but we are going to now talk about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I thought it was very interesting. It was basically what I expected, for the most part. We expected to be able to stream cloud gaming like we've talked about before. Be able
Future.
to log on to anything and play the game. Now, I doubt that you'll be able to play on like PS4.
Well, yeah,
Xbox.
Yeah.
Maybe Switch.
Well, I was gonna say you can go into.
You can go to a browser.
Oh,
but
but
you
not
can't go to
Chrome. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. But.
And now you'll never.
No. But no, it's very interesting. They did not mention any kind of pricing or any kind of subscription service or any kind of. They purposely left all that out, and they followed up with responding to a tweet saying we have nothing to announce about that at this time.
Yeah, I my impression of it, and I could be completely wrong, but it felt like the ability to use this stuff was free, but the thing would be you have to pay for the games.
Right.
Unless it's more than that. Unless it's like paying an Xbox Live subscription, which makes sense, or PS Plus subscription. That would make sense, and I wouldn't, have an issue with that. But to be honest, the way they were talking about the integration with YouTube and the integration with the content creators and all that stuff, like their big thing was like, we want to make this as instantaneously accessible to all gamers. You don't need to buy our proprietary console to play this game. And so
you don't even need our controller. We're just creating one to create one, basically.
And so I thought that it was a neat idea to. I thought it would. So like Mom, she was listening to it while I was watching. She's like, "That's gotta be expensive," and that's not even a thought that came to my head. If anything, I thought I didn't think I'd have to pay anything for the use of the service. I do. They did talk about you could go to the Stadia store, and I guess get the games through that way. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like when it's being actively used.
Sure. Yeah, most Google services you haven't had to pay for. You don't have to pay to use your phone, like your Android. You don't have to pay to use Gmail or YouTube or anything like that. So Google Drive, you can do all the Google stuff without paying anything. So if for them to come out and say, well, but you can't use Stadia unless you pay $13, $14, $20 a month, it would make more sense if I could it's just part of Chrome, and in order for me to play the game, I would have to paid for the game through the Stadia store, or maybe everything's like demo. You get to play 10 minutes of it, but then.
Well, and that's the other thing I was thinking of was the first thing they showed was what you said, like the pop in at the end of the video. Oh, you can play this game now, and it just immediately brings it up. And the way they phrased that was if you were interested in maybe getting the game, but you're not sure. But they didn't continue that thought process with, and you can try it out. They didn't say anything like this is the demo. They just said you could just hop in, and so it makes me think. Well, if I'm interested in playing the game, if I just hit play now, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Is it would just be you play a section of this game, but then it would just be that's something that I'm sure will be ironed out in the future.
They've got to be able to pay developers for the games. So it's not going to be like you can just jump into any game for free. It's somehow you have to pay something.
Yeah.
Whether now if there is like you could buy the games piecemeal, or you can sign up for a $20 a month
like Game Pass
Netflix plan, subscription plan, and then you could play anything that's on the Stadia system or network, and so sure.
Sure.
Just totally blanked.
Okay.
After reading all that, I'm kind of fried. So
I've seen a few comments and questions about it, and something that we could talk about is, like Mom kept saying, it just sounds too big, impossible. And
she's like, it's too big for them. I'm like,
well, Google is literally everywhere.
Google is everywhere. They do YouTube. Like YouTube has hundreds of billions of hours stored forever, like, and going back and forth. People were watching it on their phones, or like this is the same thing, except now you got to send inputs. And it's got to be incredibly low latency, or people are going to be like, well, I can play any game on here, but if I hit the if I hit the right button or press the button, it takes 5 seconds for the guy to jump, and that's not going to feel good. So
my biggest doubt about it is like while watching this YouTube video, there was at least 3 sections of it that lagged really poorly. And I'm not trying to be like, ran on a parade or whatever, because I want this thing to happen and succeed, and because I'm all about getting the price down. To just be able to open up. Now we'll still have PlayStation, we'll still have whatever, we'll still play games like everyone else, but the ability, if you don't have an Xbox, or if you don't have a PlayStation or Switch, to be like, you know what, I just got to buy this controller or use WASD and
Mm-hmm.
and get in. I'm 100% down for. So I'm all for it. So I don't want to like poo-poo on the parade or whatever by saying that I don't buy that it'll work. I think it will. I think it's going to take a lot of time, and I think a lot of areas are not going to be able to use it the way.
Sure, and I do see all those comments like they're very negative about. Well, like I live in a rural area and I don't get that good at internet, and well, most people don't have the great Wi-Fi
Hmm.
or whatever. My thoughts are, so no one should try to progress at all
Right.
until that's able. Well, if you don't push for a reason to expand the network, then there's no reason to expand the network.
Right.
So, I mean, my thoughts, I saw one, I can't remember the specific comment, but it was just like that. And it was like, I mean, just because you don't have access to it, we should just not do it.
Hmm.
And I understand that
I mean, being frustrated about not being
being
able
frustrated, but
to be a part of the
there
party.
I mean, clearly Google knows this.
Hmm.
They've spent millions and billions and millions of dollars developing this system and doing the research and the R&D that they know that not all the country or most of the country are going to be able to have the greatest internet. They also didn't say any kind of like minimum internet requirements. I'm sure there
Yeah.
will be, but they
I mean,
didn't.
you have to have it.
Well, you have to have internet, but they didn't say like you have to have 15 down.
Mhm.
There's a service we were looking at. I don't want to name it because I don't know if it's good or not. But they were talking like you need at least 15 megabits down. And even here in Kentucky, you can get at least in the big city, Louisville, or I don't know about Lexington, but you can get right now we can get 400 down, but you go 2 hours
South of here.
southeast, and you're on satellite internet getting maybe 8 gigabytes up or down,
Right.
and it's just real bad. So there are definitely places that are going to have problems doing this, but this system isn't for you.
Right.
And it's not like everybody's going this way, and you're not going to be able to play games anymore. You just have to play it like we are right now.
Yeah.
You can buy a PlayStation 4 or 5 or the Xbox 2 because Microsoft's still going to put out a system that has a disc,
Yeah.
so you can still go and buy games. So I don't know that there's anything to worry about. I think it'll only push the infrastructure if people are clamoring to have this because you're going to be able to stream 4K. I heard one guy say it was like we get like 16 gigabytes an hour if you stream 4K.
Hmm.
And some places they even have decent internet. You have a data cap, and
Right.
you'll quickly go through that data cap, and so that's going to push cable companies, internet ISPs, to have to make changes to how they're charging people and have to maybe upgrade their net infrastructure so they can support all this data going back and forth because people are clamoring for whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
and they won't be clamoring for that much if there's nothing to clamor for.
Right.
So someone's got to push
They're
forward.
kind of forcing the hands of everybody else to keep it going.
If someone doesn't progress, we all won't progress,
Right.
or won't progress quickly.
And Google seems to be, and I'm about to say something that I don't really know is factually correct, or I've never really had any negative thoughts about Google, like in terms of like greedy. Not that they aren't or that they are, but I've never really felt like ominousness from them. Like for some reason, I get that from Amazon. I probably shouldn't say that out loud because they're hearing me because I have an Alexa in there. But I don't know. I mean, not to say that they're like, Oprah or anything
Well,
like
no,
that.
I mean Google's still someone to worry about. Like they know a whole lot about you because
That's true.
you've been Google searching stuff for your for the last 15, 20 years now, and so
If
they
when
know
I
everything
die-
you've searched for.
Yeah.
So
What if that's what happens when you die? Not like a video reel of all the things you've done, but just like all the words you've ever typed in Google search, that would be horrifying.
Yes.
I mean, not that I've Googled horrifying things or anything, but I'm just saying that'd be horrible. Anyway, so another point I wanted to bring up, because not only do I think it's fascinating from a technical level, but well, this is technical, but more on like what we're gonna get out of it. More on what we're gonna get out of it. So talking about Stage, the first party studio, we're gonna make it a thing. Hashtag Stage.
Yep. Hashtag Stage.
Like the way that they were talking about. Did you mention? I don't know if you mentioned the split screen aspect of it.
Yeah,
it got really technical, and there was so much. But they talked about the split screen.
Stream Connect,
where like if me and Josh are playing, we can. Well, see, they didn't get into the nitty gritty of like, are we both in the same room? I think
they were saying you could play on a single TV, and each split. So the reason split screen has pretty much gone away is because your PS4 or whatever just can't handle rendering the same scene or different scenes, multiple of those at the same time.
Right.
And so that's why it's really gone away. And then even when games that do, usually they're not the most groundbreaking as far as like visual fidelity or input or just in general. But what they're saying with the Stream Connect is basically you and I could sit here and play on the TV, and each screen that we see is a different system. So it's as if we've taken two PlayStations and put it on the same screen.
Right.
And you could do that theoretically as many as you wanted. I guess that would fit on a screen.
And what I found, like they said, you can even like select. I think this is developers, maybe not so much the player, but maybe the player. Like how much of the screen you see or whatever. And they talked about, and this was what I got out of it, was the way they can design those experiences for that. It makes me think of Destiny. It's a long shot, but I'm getting there. When we talk about raids in Destiny, you're always talking about puzzle mechanics. And you need to go over here. You need to run the gauntlet. We need to make the orbs over here. If we all step on these plates, this thing's going to happen. Whatever. So think about something like that. But that is contingent on being able to see someone else's screen. Like, I don't know what it would look like. But, like, because that's not me. But if you're playing a multiplayer game, and maybe, again, this is not specifically split screen, but if you're playing with someone else and you can see their screen, you can have it popped up over here, and Josh is in the sky doing this thing, and I'm over here doing this thing. If there's something that I could only get information out of by watching Josh's screen, and then making a choice based off of that, and just how...
Like Screen Cheat.
Like Screen Cheat, and the way you can, like, tell a new story over other people's screens. I don't know what that looked like, but there's a possibility of so many things. And then moving on from that, just talking about possibilities of the developers being able to develop for an unlimited system. Like, the thing they kept reiterating, that's like, you're not constricted to the powerments of a console. You're not restricted to the highest end PC anymore. Like, you are only restricted to your imagination, essentially. And I'm sure there's some restrictions, but like, just think of like the way all those like E3 promo trailers look can actually be the way the game looks.
Yeah,
based off of this uncapped potential.
Sure. And they showed that when they showed that, they said Doom Eternal, when it comes out, it's only going to be using one of their GPUs.
Yeah.
But developers will have the option to use multiple GPUs, and they showed a demo of what this like fluid dynamic demo of a one GPU system and then a 10 GPU or multiple GPU system. And the water effects look different because that's one of the most taxing on a GPU. And so being able to have access to multiple GPUs can lead to a higher fidelity game, or at least visuals.
And then that makes me even more excited for Stadia's first-party studio, because with every platform, first-party games are always going to be the best looking, for the most part, just based on the fact that they don't have to develop for multiple consoles.
Right. They have a focus.
So if an Ubisoft game comes out on each of them, it's not going to look as great as The Last of Us 2 on the PS4 or 5.
Right.
So if Stadia comes out and the stage team.
I used some Stadia in my coffee earlier.
Don't use Stadia in your coffee or Stevia for that matter. It's gross. Sorry, guys. If Stadia comes out, the stage team at Stadia creates a awesome first-party game.
They're actors.
Then just I can only imagine what that would look like.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped.
Yeah, we're gonna hear more about Stadia in the summer. I don't want to keep,
Hey, that's what the show is.
Sure, but at this point it's just all speculation. We're gonna learn more here in the next couple months.
I bet you they're gonna have an E3 press conference.
They might have an E3 conference, but they also Google also does like they have their own kind of deal in May.
Oh, okay.
They also have their own deal. Now I don't know if they might do a press conference at E3, and that would be big, but we haven't heard anything.
Take PlayStation spot.
Yeah, but we haven't heard anything, and I think that's all kind of set, isn't it? Like they released like the schedule, right?
Did they?
I thought. Well,
all we know. All I know that we know is that PlayStation's not going to be there. Xbox is not going to be there.
No,
I know. I'm just joking. They're there. EA is doing something weird, but we don't know if Bethesda's going to be there. We don't know. Well, we know that Ubisoft.
No, Bethesda announced that they were going to be there.
Oh, well, see, where have I been?
Yeah.
So.
And that we didn't put that in the doc, but they did announce they were going to be back for their 5th annual.
Oh, cool.
So Bethesda's coming back.
More Fallout 76.
Yeah. So we'll go on. We have a few other news stories to talk about, including. You want to take this one?
I will. So, if you were a fan of Left 4 Dead, well, you're in luck because they are back for blood, baby. Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment and Turtle Rock Studios announced Back for Blood. This is from the community manager on the Turtle Rock forums. I'm going to read the whole thing because it's good if you like that game. Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment and Turtle Rock Studios today announced Back for Blood, from the creator and development team behind the critically acclaimed co-op phenomenon Left 4 Dead. Back 4 Blood is designed from the ground up as an original premium title and marries the best of what made the co-op zombie shooter so successful with new features and state-of-the-art technology.
And yes, Back 4 Blood is the number 4.
Yes.
Just like in the Left 4 Dead.
Oh. When you said Left 4 Dead, I'm like, that's not the name of it. And I'm like, whatever.
Words today are weird. It's late.
We are thrilled to partner with the proven Turtle Rock Studios team on Back 4 Blood to advance the co-op zombie genre forward with innovative multiplayer gameplay, said David Haddad, president of Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. The talented team at Turtle Rock has been developing amazing games together for a long time, and this is a great opportunity to teach them to work with them to create a new gaming universe built specifically with the large co-op zombie shooter community in mind. It's hard to overstate what an awesome opportunity this is. We get to return to a genre that was born in our studio with over 10 years of additional experience and zombie ideas racked up in our brains, said Chris Ashton, the co-founder and design director of Turtle Rock Studios. We also have some of the best teammates in the business at WBIE who understand our development process and are equally committed to our player-first mentality. We love being able to announce so we can start working with the community right away. We are not resting on any past laurels. I've been wanting to say this forever, and I don't think anyone's going to laugh. Especially you, because you're the only one here. I was going to say, if you're not resting on your laurels, does that mean that you are resting on your yannies? Our goal is to take all we've learned and push forward. We know that that's a tall order, said Phil Robb, the co-founder and creative director of Turtle Rock Studios. We're growing the team considerably because we're stepping up the biggest challenge in the studio's history. We know this title has to stand out, and we fully intend to make that happen.
I'm sorry, everybody.
So, If you like Left 4 Dead, they're Back for Blood. I'm interested to see how that goes. I never got into it because, again, PlayStation gamer over here. I think I might have picked it up once and was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But a lot of people like it, and I think I'm excited. If this comes out and it looks good, I might get into it.
Well, this is not
anytime soon.
Anytime soon.
No.
They didn't show a trailer. They didn't show like a design for the title. It was just called Back for Blood, and hey, we're looking for people to help us make this game. So, yeah, it'll be a long time before we see anything from this, but very interesting.
There's a line in here that I wanted to dissect for a second, or just point out. It says, Back for Blood is designed from the ground up as an original premium title, and that's so. Only this year have I really heard the term premium title. I think with the rise of free-to-play games like Fortnite and Apex, that you now have to make a distinction that this isn't going to be like that.
Yeah, this isn't going to be a free-to-play title. This is going to be a full-on co-op paid $60 title.
Yeah.
Or,
something like that.
Some kind of fee to enter.
And I've heard some conversation through other podcasts and just the internet that if it's like what it was when it came out, then they may not be interested in paying full price for it. But I feel like that is one, we don't know anything about this game other than the title and that it's a at least four-player co-op. But you gotta imagine, like they said, we have 10 plus years of experience since we've made the last game. You gotta imagine
and people
that
loved Left 4 Dead.
Right.
Like anybody who's played Left 4 Dead and says they wouldn't buy it now, I think they're full of
yeah.
Because I mean, people who played Left 4 Dead played the crap out of that game, and I don't think any perceived lack in content that it would have compared to what's out today would prevent people from having a blast with that game.
Yeah.
So
it was an odd conversation or like comment thread to read because I just wasn't quite sure what they thought would happen. Like, why do you think that this would be that and not more of what you loved and then some? So, I don't know. Again, that's also coming from someone who doesn't know the game, who wasn't raised with it or whatever.
I've always been interested in it, but just we never had an Xbox and just didn't play it. So,
this is related.
Former Valve writer and Riot Games designer launched their own co-op focused development studio. This is Brendan Sinclair at GamesIndustry.biz. Based in Seattle, the studio will focus on co-op games. Faliszek was Faliszek.
I didn't grab the actual names of these people. Give me just a sec. It was like right here. It was Chet Faliszek and Kimberly Vole.
Okay. Faliszek was interested in pursuing that angle, in part because of his prior experience working on co-op titles like Portal 2 and Left 4 Dead. After the release of Left 4 Dead, I received an email that changed forever how I think about making games. It was from a soldier stationed in Iraq who said Left 4 Dead had saved his marriage. It was simple. He and his wife missed each other, and talking on the phone just made them realize more and more. Realize this more. And his wife, hang on, you moved.
And feel even more miserable.
And feel even more miserable. But jumping into a game like Left 4 Dead, let them forget that and just exist in that moment. They could spend time in each other's company as if they were sitting next to each other on the couch at home. That is powerful and something only the shared experience of games can bring. While there's no project ready to announce just yet, Faliszek said he and Vol want to create games that give players a place to breathe. That's what it is. We need to make this bigger. That gives players a place to breathe and live in the moment. Games that tell stories knowing you are going to come back again and again. That that change each time you play them without feeling completely random, and that help you feel like a real team that supports each other, not a bunch of folks in each other's way, and where AI drives not just the enemies but helps drive the entire experience. The pair are also trying to apply the cooperative theme to the way the studio will be set up. Tell you what, I'm tired.
Yeah, it's late.
We think now is the time to change the culture of game development. Make everyone equals, not just their impact on the project, but in how we divide the loot of our success. Relax strict PTO policies because we trust each other to take the time you need. We want to build games that reflect our culture. It's clear he's English is not the first language here because it's very weird to read. And
I don't know. Maybe English isn't your first language.
it's definitely.
It reads. I mean, I understand.
The studio has backing from lead investor Upfront Ventures, and Vol said that her former employer, Riot Games, is also planning to invest in the company. Vol recently left Riot after 3 years with the company. She has also worked at Radial Games Corp. And co-founded the Fair Play Alliance. Prior to Stray Bombay Company, Faliszek worked at Bossa Games for a year and a half and had been at Valve for 12 years before that. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to include that because one, it was connected to Left 4 Dead.
Sure.
And the idea of co-op, and I really like the line here. We think now is the time to change the culture of game development, make everyone equals. We want to build games that reflect our culture, and with the rise of the layoffs and the idea of unionizing and agonizing hours developing games, it just feels like the co-op aspect of it. Like we want to be there for each other just as much as we want to be there for the business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see how this works out in practice because I've heard rumblings of that before. Like, oh well, no one's the boss here, and I mean, I've never been in one of these situations, so I don't want to speak ill or not of that. But I think if what they want really plays out, I think it'll become. I don't know if it'll become an industry norm, but I think for them, it'll definitely set an impact.
Sure.
And I'm excited to see what they develop, because I loved Portal 2.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, maybe they'll develop specifically for Stadia and do that thing I was talking about. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this because different angles that you're looking at the game. All right, I'll give you a break.
Okay.
Microsoft now lets you stream PC games to an Xbox One and use a controller. This is from Tom Warren at TheVerge.com. So, like the title said, Microsoft is now letting Xbox One owners stream their PC games to the console and use a controller to play them. A newly updated app, wireless display app from Microsoft enables the support so you can play Steam games or other titles directly on an Xbox One. You can use a regular Xbox controller to control the remote PC, enabling gameplay or even the ability to use the Xbox for presentations. Microsoft's wireless display app uses Miracast to create a connection between a PC and the Xbox One. There are different latency modes for gaming and watching videos from a remote PC, and the app is ideal if you want to project a stream or video onto the Xbox. But you won't be able to stream protected content like Netflix, though. The wireless display app has been previously dubbed Kinect on Windows, and it started as an app for the Surface Hub. A Microsoft-enabled mouse, keyboard, touch, and stylus support through the same app to connect back and control the projecting PC, and it's now added controller support for the Xbox version.
That's cool. That's just Microsoft just doing more,
Mm-hmm.
wanting you to play anything anywhere. I bet you they if anybody does it, Microsoft will allow Chrome on. Allow Stadia on their consoles.
Well, that's I forgot a point I wanted to talk about before, which is both of their themes are like play anywhere. Mm-hmm. Remove whatever barriers we can to let you play it. But I think to be honest, I think the
Well,
only reason Xbox is going to
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I think the reason Xbox is going to be providing a box anyway is for the people who are traditionalists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I bet you if they didn't have the base that they had, they probably wouldn't care if they had made a box at all. It'd probably be way cheaper for them not to.
Yeah,
But they're going to.
sure.
For
And after I
traditionalists.
said that, I remember, they're doing Project xCloud. They might not want Stadia on there.
Well, but maybe they won't have it on there.
Stadia,
But they'll be
or
playing with
xCloud will be their initiative,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know that they would want. I don't know. They've been really like.
Well, there's a line in this one. It's from Tom Warren from The Verge again as well. Microsoft is announcing Xbox Live for any iOS or Android game. And there's a bunch of stuff that's not even. Oh wait, no, never mind. Microsoft is bringing its Xbox Live network to iOS and Android devices. The software giant is launching a new cross-platform mobile software development kit, SDK, for game developers to bring Xbox Live functionality to games that run on iOS and Android. Xbox Live features like achievements, gamer score, hero stats, friends list, clubs, and even some family settings will all be available on iOS and Android.
Didn't we talk about this like 2 weeks ago?
We had talked.
They were coming to phones and the Switch. I mean, or was that the rumor or?
I think it was a rumor.
No, they said they were bringing Xbox Live to Switch when we were rumoring that they were going to bring the Game Pass.
I don't know. You posted this just the other day.
I mean, that
wait,
article was from this week.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, continue. It was just like
I feel like we have talked about this. It's
I've just been talking about Microsoft so much the last few weeks.
Yeah.
It's just all kind of mushing together.
It's all part of a bigger push for Microsoft to make its Xbox games and services available across multiple platforms. Game developers will be able to pick and choose parts of Xbox Live to integrate into their games, and it will be enabled through a single sign-in to Microsoft account. Microsoft is using its identity network to support login, privacy, online safety, and child accounts. The software... Oh, this is what I was talking about. The software maker is announcing a new Microsoft Game Stack for developers just ahead of the annual GDC. Microsoft Game Stack combines all of the company's developers' tools, services, and platforms with Azure and PlayFab, the platform services that help developers build and launch cloud-connected games. Microsoft acquired PlayFab last year, and this is the first major milestone for the service. They are also aggressively pursuing its vision of Xbox Game Pass and xCloud game streaming to bring games to devices other than PCs or Xbox consoles. Microsoft demonstrated its xCloud service for the first time this week, promising public trials for streaming Xbox games to iOS, Android, Mac, and PCs later this year. Microsoft is also bringing Minecraft to its Xbox Game Pass, a service that is often described as a Netflix for games.
Microsoft making all the right moves.
Yep.
It'll be interesting.
What if that's the new console war?
Microsoft versus Google.
Stadia.
Quite interesting.
Stage.
It'll be interesting to watch these two go at it while PlayStation just watches on the sideline and laughs.
Yeah.
Well,
that's kind of what I was just thinking about. This. Like, what if they get left behind?
Yeah, we already know Xbox or Microsoft is poised to make a similar style move to cloud gaming.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know anything about whether Sony is looking to do anything like that, other than their purchase of Gaikai, which was used to make PlayStation Now, and not for anything other than that.
Yeah.
So we don't know if they're interested in doing this cloud gaming style services at all. And if this Google thing takes off, I mean, people are excited about it. Even some of the skeptics. It'll just be interesting to see if Sony makes any moves to lean that way at all, or if they're just going to stick their ground and be like, we're already ahead, and we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, and is that going to lead to another PS3 situation where, I mean, we were already on top with the PS2. We just know we're the best, and so we're going to stay the course and get left behind by Microsoft and Google.
Yeah.
Who knows? So.
That I mean, and I think it'll come back to that point I brought up earlier, which is, or that they brought up as Google, with accessibility everywhere, and limiting and Xbox is going to that too, where if I can play Gears of War or whatever third-party game on my iPhone or tablet or whatever, and then go to Stadia for the other stuff, it's like if all I have to do is buy the game or pay for Game Pass or Stadia Pass or whatever. I'm not doing it on purpose, I promise. Then is PlayStation just going to be my exclusive console? Like,
I don't know.
I think the only thing about me is I don't know if I'll break out of what I'm used to, which is setting aside time to game, and sitting in front of my TV or my stream.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever find myself like out on the road wanting to hook up and play like God of War, like on my phone or a tablet. I just can't imagine wanting to do that.
You won't be able to.
Well,
in the
theoretical cloud future.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
I don't know. Like I mean, when I'm in Chicago, riding the trains forever, or getting stuck, or whatever, I'd love to, at least I think I'd love to pull it up and be like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to Zer or play this.
Yeah. Well, that brings
mission.
a whole nother can of worms. And can I log in from a train through a Wi-Fi to my console
or through cellular?
Or to Google Chrome, Stadia, and play a multiplayer game
while you're
on some
plain Wi-Fi,
hotel
Wi-Fi. It'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah. The future is weird, and we're just gonna be along for the ride.
That's right.
All right, I think this is this last?
It's second to last.
Second to last.
It's really a little bit last piece. The
last big news, because we never ever found time really to sit down and do it. Kingdom Hearts 3's critical mode is coming very soon. When I was referring to the spoiler cast that we just never did. This is by Kimberly Wallace at Game Informer, the very short one. Those who were pining for more difficulty in Kingdom Hearts 3 will soon get their wish. Co-director Tai Yasui was on hand at this year's GDC, confirming critical mode is coming very soon and will be more than just enemies just having a value change. Yasui said it's more technical and offensive, and more for those who are good at action games and timing attacks. He said the skill required will change the way you play the game. Stay tuned for
more.
Stay tuned for more. So, critical mode is coming back, and if it's like as technical or interesting than just more enemies or harder enemies, or stronger, more squishy, less squishy enemies than spongy enemies is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Then maybe that'll be what we're looking for in Kingdom Hearts 3. Make it a more
because the one thing we
challenging game.
I don't know if we ever really iterated this. We might have one of our impressions, but it just was. I played on Proud mode and got through it with minor deaths.
Yeah, I only started really dying towards the end, and only died a few times.
It really feels like the way he explains it, at least this little bit that he explained, feels like when they talk about in-game content and like The Division or in Destiny, where it's like now once you get to this point, now you're playing on critical mode, not only are the enemies harder, but the way they fight you is different. And you have to change up your play style. So for people looking for more stuff to play, and I mean, I'll give it a try. I still haven't done anything with it since I've beaten it, which is not to say I didn't like it. It's just
there was just so much. We had Anthem come out, and we had Division, and we've just been busy. So I'll be interested if I ever get a break and things to do to go back and play it in critical mode, because I would like to feel like there was a challenge in some of those boss fights that. N- n- Most of those boss fights were just too easy.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to have like a challenge to some of those.
I'd seen a post about the final boss in Kingdom Hearts 3 and how the person rage quit and said they'll never play it again. And I'm not judging this person for not being able to beat him, because I suck at games and that happens to me all the time. But and I feel the pain, because in Kingdom Hearts 2 and in Kingdom Hearts 1, like, there were times where I stepped away from the game for months.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't get past a boss. But that never happened once for me in this game. On Proud Mode, on the last boss. No, I did die a lot on the last boss. And
I died more in all the other games on normal.
Yeah.
Than I ever did in this game on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
On hard.
I guess if there's one thing that
but
was
the only boss I had any problems with was the last one.
Mm-hmm. And then once I figured out what I was doing wrong, and it never felt like it was a problem of the game, you know, how sometimes that is. It was clearly just a problem of I wasn't planning.
Did you just burp talk?
I did. I'm sorry. And then lastly, before we get to this week's topic, which is we're going to be talking about Nintendo of America tweeted out, tune in this Wednesday, which is today, if you're watching us today, which is tomorrow for us.
On Wednesday, March 20th.
At 9 a.m. Pacific time for a new Nindies showcase video presentation featuring about 30 minutes of information on indie games coming to Nintendo Switch.
Woo!
If you're interested in that, because I am.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it next week
on
the show. But Josh, let's talk about The Division 2, because that's what I want to do right now instead of doing the show. I mean, I want to do the show, but I want to play The Division 2.
Yeah. I would like to get back to The Division 2. It's been busy this week, but
yeah. So, do you love it?
I am very much enjoying it.
But you don't love it?
Not yet.
Okay.
I haven't really got to.
I feel like I played a whole lot more than you have.
Yeah, I really need to be able to sit down and not feel like I'm getting my head kicked in.
Yeah. So let's start there. Well, let's start with
the positives and then.
Yeah. Did we
it's
talk
not
about
even
it
a
last
negative.
week?
We did, but not we didn't.
Ooh, oh, I had only played it.
Yeah.
No, wait. I was doing a stream. No, I had done the stream the night before.
Right. I think I played for a little while.
Okay.
But we've gotten to play more this week.
Gotcha. Yeah, right. Well, anyway, so Division 2, we had, if you didn't watch last week's episode, we went ahead and pre-ordered the gold edition because we played the open beta, and from being skeptical of really getting into it, the short version is we played the beta, within minutes we're like, getting this game, pre-ordered it a few days later.
Done.
And I did a 5-hour stream on the Monday night that it came out for us. And you can watch that on twitch.tv/wheregaming_, where I also break down why Lord is probably the best pop artist, but you'll have to scrub through it to find out why. Or I can just tell you later. Anyway, so my impressions, I'm about level 16.
Mm-hmm.
I'm level 16 right now. And the things that I really like about this game are there's so much to do.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is the same stuff, but the same stuff there's a ton of it. A ton of different same stuff. Does that make any sense? So, like, you'll have side missions, and you have main missions, and then you have question mark activities which are like propaganda broadcasts or territory control or whatever.
Okay.
Like there's like 10 things to do. You do them often, but they come at different times.
So it's not like you're doing the same thing. You're not doing the same task back to back to back to back to back.
Right. Now you can do that. Like there are control points that are kind of like the most akin thing would be like in Assassin's Creed where
so like a fort
doing a fort or whatever, you take control over it. There are control points that you unlock, and the best thing about them is that they're just loot caches. They're just like you complete it. There's a supply room. You do it, and then if you hop into someone else's. Let me start breaking this down differently, just because if you don't know. So anyway, so there's just so many activities that you can do that keep it fresh, keep it new, and the challenge is there. And for the most part, I've not felt like any time I wasn't good was because of the game. Or anytime I died frequently wasn't always because of the game. Now, there was sometimes, we'll talk about that in a second. But I've never felt, I felt like if anything, it was like, oh, this is what I needed to do.
Yeah, you could figure it out or come at the problem a different way and succeed.
And so of course you're in Washington D.C. if you've seen all the stuff, and I have the problem I was having last week playing pre-game or pre-post or pre-launch and then post-launch, and I think this also might be a side effect of people that I'm playing with, and this is not a negative thing. It's just like I played more than you, so I'm a little further, but I want to get you up to level. And then there's some people I found online through matchmaking that I like playing with, so we've squatted up. But then, they're under level. So I feel like I've been in the same spot for so long. I'm getting a little tired of it.
Yeah, you want to progress through the story.
Right.
And you're having to wait for other people to get up to you.
Yeah, and it's no one's fault.
No,
everyone's at a different level. But it's kind of getting stale to the point. It's like, well, if I got to do it again, I don't know if I really want to do that. But I decided the other night just to play for a couple hours, and I just pushed on. And seeing new environments and is always refreshing, but just the level of detail in this game, street to street, and how it really does feel like, and they probably did, I think I heard an interview with a developer at some point, like every street is like there's no copy paste in this game in terms of like, oh, here's a street, oh, and you can find that same street over there anywhere. It's like every street is unique and different, and to be able to walk around these vast open areas and then walk down another place and be constricted, and also it really affects the gameplay. Obviously, like the layout affects how you play, but there's this one control point in the first area that I'm way like experienced at this point that I should be able to take it, that I've never been able to take it by myself, and to the point where it's like that's one thing I'll say is that I've tried this control point from two different approaches, different weapon loadout, different everything, and every single time I've died, and it's getting a little frustrating. I've tried being far back and sniping. I've tried getting in close with shotguns and stuff like that, and I just the enemy type's the hyenas. And they just keep rushing on me and getting around me, and to the point it was like, maybe I'm praying and spraying too much, maybe I'm not quite making all my shots count, which, because, the hyenas, one of the first enemy type you really come across, they're the street gang, not very well trained, which makes them scarier, because they're just running at you, beating you with spice and all this stuff. So, there's that. Ask me some questions so I know what to talk to about.
What do you think about the loot game?
Okay, so I think you've heard me talk about this before, and I think I talked about it on the show, that Destiny has, for me, perfected that euphoric syndrome of getting loot. And this, Division 2 specifically, because Division 1 didn't do it for me, has really made me get that same feeling.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that's different, and it's not really a fault of the game, is that they're not as memorable.
Yeah.
But the feeling is still the same as Destiny, where it's like, of course, I'm not picking up Gallahorn. Everyone's talking about Gallahorn.
But you see like a purple.
But you see a purple or a blue or whatever, and I even get excited getting apparel because I always want to try out new things. But
or you see a blue on the ground, like you're in this like crazy firefight, but you see the blue drop or several blues drop, and you're like, oh,
and it makes it worth it.
Like I want to go get it right now.
Oh, and what I love is, like when we're retrying a mission over and over, but obviously the loot stays, and so when you're finally done with the mission, like everyone spends the next 5 minutes
like going around
and picking it all up. So there's that. I mentioned in the control points, a supply room opens up, and you can do a control point several times if you're matched with other players, or your control point. This hasn't happened to me specifically. Can be recontrolled by the enemy.
Oh, really?
It hasn't happened to me, but so with each of these control points, you also have settlements which are different. But there's a like investing mechanic in it where you got to give them resources, and if you were to ignore them for a while, then there's a possibility. Again, hasn't happened to me because there's projects. There's rewards for doing it.
Yeah. But it
they
can be
can take them back over. And sometimes you see elements of that. Like I'll walk across one, and all of a sudden the hyenas are attacking one. There's no warning. It's not saying your territory is about to get taken over.
Like
but
what was it? Assassin's Creed Revelations, where it's like, oh, your base over here is getting attacked. You have to get over there and defend it, or you have to take it back, or you have to do a mini game.
Yeah, it's not that specific, but there's elements of that you can see if you're walking around. But so there's loot in all of these rooms, and there's always something that you can get, something new. And then I've discovered the underground tunnels are really great for loot. They're pretty lengthy, and there's usually rooms off to the side that I've spent 10 minutes just going down, collecting bags. And then it's like every corner of this world has a bag. Now, the loot can be components, tech, whatever that you need to give resources to those settlements or those control points. But they're also like apparel, there's stuff like this, and it is...
Is there apparel?
Well, not as frequent as I would like, but there is. What was I going to say? Oh, but like there's this one time where I spawned at a control point, and I was heading to the other control point that I kept dying at. And as I was walking through, I was just, looking around, and within like 3 blocks. So one of the indicators that there's loot is there are cages or gated off areas that have these big gold locks on them, and you shoot them off, and you go in and loot a bunch of stuff. So there's at least 2 or 3 of those, and then there was just this like sidewalk. You know how like in like banks and stuff in the city, the building goes past the sidewalk, but there's sidewalk there. Whatever. I know what I mean. That's all that matters. Anyway, you just walk up and down the sidewalk, and hidden behind and stuff. There's just a ton of loot, and I spent a lot of time going back and forth. Like, did I get everything? And the way the UI works is that like if you walk past one, but it's like on the other side of the wall, it'll show you the outline of it, and you have to go find out where it is. And there was a ton of that. So the only thing I wish you could do that I haven't found out if you can is go back through mission areas. Once you're done with, like, in some cases you can go into like the main lobby, but if you're trying to go back down the hallway or whatever, you have to replay the mission. And I get that, but I just want, like, if I'm just doing a loot run, that's what I want to do. Yeah. So there's that. What's next?
What about the story?
Story is not that interesting. That if I had to give it a score, that would be probably one of the negative. It's not that it's not interesting. It's just it doesn't feel important. And it very much like in Division 1, where it was like, okay, I get what we're doing, and I get that, these are the enemies, these are bad guys I shoot. But it's not like a gripping story. Like, it almost feels like a disservice to call it a Tom Clancy, because that's what Tom Clancy is built on. Not to not to really put a damper on it, but it's just like, there's like what I would love there to be. Obviously, we're taking back DC, but like a reason that we're fighting these factions other than they're killing people.
Yeah.
Like there's the in-game enemies that we're supposed to be fighting is the Black Tusk. But like, what if we found out about? Is it Black Tusk? Mm-hmm. Okay. What if we found out about them like at the beginning of the game, and they were and we know that they're coming, like the Reapers or something in Mass Effect, and we know that they're coming because of whatever. And there's little elements of that, like
Well, I won't say that doesn't happen because we haven't finished the game.
sure.
Because it could be like we could start hearing about it. I don't know. I don't know because you're further ahead than I
Yeah.
am.
Well, so far nothing concrete like that. No breadcrumbs have
But have
been left.
you? But I don't know. Have you even faced all the enemies?
There's one enemy type I haven't faced yet.
Okay.
There's so far, there are the hyenas, which are all over the place. There's the True Sons, which are a more militant group.
Yeah, they're like paramilitary group.
Yeah, and they fight more like we fight in terms of, they're more tactical. They'll come around. I actually think they're a little easier to fight than the hyenas.
Yeah.
Because they have their berserk rusher people too, but it's not as, to me, crazy.
Sure.
And then there's another group called Outcasts. I've not fought any Outcasts. I think they're probably more on the other side of the map that I haven't gone to.
Sure.
Yet. But one thing I think is interesting, and I really like this about the game, is how it obviously there's the whole world levels with you. So if you go back to the original area, you are going to, if you're level 15, they're going to be level 15, or maybe 1 or 2 lower. But as you're leveling up, like I was fighting the hyenas, and they were just fighting me like normal. But then as I got to around level 5, 6, or 7, they started using RC cars. And at first I'm like, wait, what? And the only reason I knew that is because, like, wait, what is that? And I'm like, I've been fighting these people for a couple hours now.
Yeah.
So, like, they've upped their game a little, based on how strong you are. And stuff, little things like that are really interesting, and the way they attack. And even, like, the berserkers, before, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this, like, in the first few hours of the game, the berserker people, again, there's the people who rush you.
Yeah.
They, I don't even know if that's their name, that's just what I call them. They just came up to you and started beating on you. But then I started noticing, and again, maybe it was that way the whole time, but I only noticed it later. It was like, well, there are some that don't start out as rushers, but then they take this pill, and then they start rushing you. And they have this bag which supplies their drug that makes them crazy. But I don't remember always seeing that bag.
Sure.
So there's just these elements of world building that keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're currently at about an hour and almost 20 minutes.
So what we really need to do is Division dedicated.
Well, we ought to put a pin in this and come back to it later. I have some feedback about the Division, but it's nothing we can't talk about next week, and it might be fixed by next week.
Right.
So, but long story long, we're having a lot of fun with the Division.
Absolutely.
We're excited to see it improve overall, and we'll be sure to report back next week after we play some more Division.
So before we wrap up, of course, we want to let you know what games are coming out this week. Okay. So out this week, this goes from March 21st through the 26th, because there's nothing on the 27th.
Is that out again?
Yeah, some of these. Well, like one of them's coming out. Okay. Anyway, The Sinking City comes out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on March 21st. Fate/Extella Link comes to PS4, PS Vita, and Switch March 22nd. The Lego Movie 2, the video game, comes to Europe on Switch physically on March 22nd. Our World is Ended on PS4 and Switch comes to Europe on March 22nd. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice comes out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on March 22nd.
That's the one to look out for.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Really excited.
I probably won't get it for months. Final Fantasy 15 Episode Arden DLC comes out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on March 26th.
I think. Is that right?
That was it was in the doc that you posted.
Because I'm thinking. There was only like one last Final Fantasy 15. This might be it, but because the director left. So I'm not sure if this is an old list that still lists their other DLC, or if this is the last Final Fantasy, the final Final Fantasy 15 DLC.
I'm looking it up.
Okay. It's still recent, so
Okay, yeah. So it is its final DLC, and it comes out next week on the 26th. So you're right and wrong at the same time. So good job. Generation Zero comes to PC, PS4, and Xbox One on March 26th. And again,
because Europe and
yeah.
US.
Oh, that's weird. I should have consolidated that.
Yeah.
Lego Movie 2, a video game, comes to US on as a physical Switch release on March 26th.
Our World Has Ended.
And then Space Junkies comes out on PC and PSVR on March 26th. Outward comes to PC, PS4, and Xbox One on March 26th. And Telltale's The Walking Dead, the final season, Episode 4, Take Us Back, comes to PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on March 26th. And I think
This is
the
the
last.
final episode of the Telltale's, because it's not Telltale anymore, but the Telltale Walking Dead series. This will be the end of Clementine's story. I'm
Do you say
excited.
that thinking that there's going to be something else later?
As far as we know, this will be the last story of this kind.
Okay.
The last Walking Dead game like this. There will be more Walking Dead games. Will there be more Walking Dead episodic games like this? Who knows? I mean, they have a studio now. They could potentially keep going. I don't think they're going to. They definitely talk like this is going to be it. Clementine, this is the end of Clementine's story, so at least as far as they're concerned. So, very, very bittersweet, especially considering the situation with Telltale, the developers, and Clementine. So,
All right. Well, that's the show for Wednesday, March 20th, 2019. Again, this is Where Gaming Weekly. You can find us on YouTube.com and on podcast services. Just type in Where Gaming Weekly, and it should pop up. We're on most platforms there. Of course, we videotape the show. We also created a new promo. If you didn't know, after watching the show, we videotape it. We have the whole...
watch it on your VCRs, people.
VCRs.
We have a promo.
We have a promo that we cut recently. You can find that on youtube.com there. And we've been starting to stream on twitch.tv/wheregaming_.
Mostly when the computer works. I've
Yeah.
got the computer back up and running. It seems like it's doing pretty good now.
And we really need to set up a schedule because it's if I don't plan on doing it, then I might not do it. You know, it's one of those things since we're starting out and not something I'm used to. It can be taxing and stuff. So I'm working on it, and Josh is too. So
yeah.
So we're working on that, and then of course, tweet us at wheregaming_ and send us fan mail at weekly at wheregaming.com. It is almost 10 o'clock. It is 10 o'clock, and I'm going to bed.
You can find Nick at
Speak Nicklish.
find me at Jaws1015 on Twitter, and that's the show. So say bye, Nick.
Bye, Nick.